Hey y'all, it's Caroline. Because of some of the content of this episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., our podcast episode does have a brief mention of self-harm, although we do try to keep the discussion of it minimal. But if that is something that is not going to be helpful in your recovery, or if it's something that's difficult for you to listen to, then we may just need to see you next week. But as always, thanks for listening and hope you enjoy the episode.
Good morning, Agents of Nothing, and welcome to our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. We are your commanding officers. I'm Mariah.
And I'm Caroline.
And today we're going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 7, The Writing on the Wall.
So, Mariah, how was your week?
It was good. I'm so sore, though. Turns out library work involves a lot of walking and squatting, and I have been so uncomfortable the last few days, just popping ibuprofen like candy. But thankfully I have every other weekend off, so I've had a little bit of time to recover.
That's cool.
And I'm dressing up as a fairy for work tomorrow because it's Halloween.
Whoa! That's cool.
So how was your week, Caroline?
Mine was good. It was very busy. But I did somehow make time to make my Halloween costume as well, and David's, and Chip's. And I dyed my hair for it, so my hair is green now, and I shaved the side of it. And if you can guess what my Halloween costume is for my green hair, I don't think you can. It's Cone!
It's Cone!
A big lump with knobs!
It has the juice.
Yeah. I will post pictures because we are going to a Halloween party tomorrow, so.
Nice. Nice. I'm not going to a Halloween party. I'm just going to work, and I am more excited about that than going to a Halloween party. Because the little old ladies at the library are so nice. They're going to hype me up so good.
Aww.
Like, every time I come across another regular, they stop in their tracks and they go, "You're new." And I say, "Yes, I am. Nice to meet you."
It.
And the last one goes, "Oh, you look like a little Barbie doll." I say, "Oh, thank you."
Aww.
So yeah, I'm very excited. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
This episode was written by Craig Titley and directed by Vincent Misiano. Yes, that is an unfortunate name. I'm sorry, Craig. It's nothing against you.
That's what you get for being named Craig.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Craig that's the problem. Yes.
The worst name in the world.
Yeah.
We're back to making fun of people's names. Throwback.
Wahoo! What did I say? Just wahoo? Are my meds kicking in already?
Anyway, let's get into this.
Okay, let's get into it. Who do we meet in this episode?
This episode, we meet Janice Robbins, a hot girl artist with bad taste in men.
Relatable.
We meet Rebecca Stevens, who happens to remind me a lot of Janice Robbins, interestingly enough.
Whoa.
Hank Thompson, all-around good dude. Love Hank Thompson.
He's just minding his business.
Right? And then Sebastian Derrick, who is way too horny on Maine. Okay,
really.
This is ridiculous. Okay, hang on. I'm really sorry for how many yawns you're gonna have to edit out of this episode. Or wait, am I editing this episode? I'm sorry to my future self. No worries, past self. So, a couple enters an apartment. The woman mentions Burning Man, and the man says, "What's Burning Man?" Which sounds like me anytime someone references an MCU movie.
Also, I feel like the most boring person in the world. Like, I can forgive, like, a 20-year-old not knowing what Burning Man is.
Yeah.
But you're a grown-ass man, and you're like, "What's Burning Man?" I would have been like, "Leave my apartment now. Goodbye." We are obviously not soulmates.
Like, you at least have to have an idea of what it is.
Exactly. Like, you are 40 years old and you have not... and you have not heard of Burning Man once? I have to wake up early for work, and so I already took my night meds. So if I'm a little loopy or if I mispronounce words more than usual, that's why.
We're gonna get through it. Apparently, the two met at the bar that night, but they waved at each other as if they'd always known each other. It's the guy from the tattoo shop.
So, Brian Van Holt guest stars as a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent resurrected by the same program that Coulson was.
Yeah, that was really interesting, the storyline in this episode.
Yeah, it really was. I say it so many times, but I was really like, we're getting into this already.
So as the man is talking about how he's come a long way to find her, he starts unbuttoning his shirt, and she's like, whoa, slow down there, tiger. And then he shows her his tattoos, and she's like, how did you know about that? And then he takes out a knife, and she screams.
God. Again, like I said earlier, we're really getting into this already. I feel like we just started season 2.
I know. We're already 7 episodes in.
Halfway to the mid-season finale.
A quarter of the way through the season. Wow.
Yeah, one could also say that.
So her scream blends into the sax solo on Coulson's jazz record, which I thought was a good touch.
Nice.
Coulson is covered in sweat and has carved into the wall so much that his knife breaks. Skye stops the record player and startles Coulson. He was supposed to tell her when he started carving so she could watch him while May's away. Neither of them have been sleeping very well, apparently. Skye is still no closer to figuring out what the carvings mean, although she knows it's connected to everything they've been through.
It's all connected.
Coulson begs her to keep at it because his urges are coming so frequently now that he has to carve every day and every night. May is out looking for Ward with Morse's help. Apparently, even though he escaped federal custody, Senator Ward decided to cover up his brother's escape for some reason. I don't understand why he would do that, but whatever.
I think because it would have just made him look bad. He was like, I'm gonna bring my brother to justice. And then his men immediately lose his brother.
Right. Well, they were murdered.
Yeah. That's the thing, but he still can't bring his brother to justice now.
I feel like that proves how dangerous he is, and so...
He probably also doesn't want his constituents to panic.
Yeah, I guess so. Even though they should.
Yeah. They really should. Everyone's in danger.
Anyway, so only S.H.I.E.L.D. is looking for Ward. And also, I know that this isn't what they meant, but the fact that May says he has at least 11 hotboxes within 200 miles of his last known position. Ward's a stoner.
There's a character called Stoner Brett on Glee, and now that's all I can think of, because Brett Dalton.
Stoner Brett. So Ward shows up at an airport, I think, in Philadelphia.
It's a pipe dream of mine to move to Philadelphia one day. I don't know. I hear it's very walkable, and I like that. I've never been, but I have heard about it.
If you live in Philly, you should invite Mariah to come visit you.
Yeah. We'll have a Philly meetup.
Yeah.
And by meetup, I mean like the one person who listens to us and also lives in Philly will right. like meet me at a park and will be like, "Hi, how you doing? So nice to meet you."
Do we have anybody in Philly?
I don't know. We've gotta.
From our demographics, I feel like the only places, like we have people in Texas, we have people in New York, maybe, and then I think a couple other places, but I don't think Pennsylvania was on there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Ward shows up at this.
Also, it's a bus station.
Oh, that makes sense now. So Ward shows up at the bus station in Philadelphia, but Tripp is there too, and he sees him immediately. May orders him to just observe for now. Ward goes to a storage locker and pulls out a duffel bag. Also, Ward's facial hair looks very trim. Like, did he stop at a barbershop to get his beard lined up while he's literally on the run and strapped with bombs? That sounds like him, honestly.
I like how they made it look trim, but also, like, slightly shaggy enough, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's lined up, but, like, not all the way.
They, like, put a couple of notches in there.
Yeah.
Coulson says that the senator wants Ward alive, but Coulson gives the order to bring Ward in by any means necessary. Please, just kill him. Just kill him. Nothing will ever be resolved until Ward is dead.
Truly.
So Ward signals that he knows he's being watched and shows off the fucking bomb strapped around his waist. Tripp says it's enough to take out a whole city block. So they decide to just keep tailing him as he goes to his next stop. And I kept thinking it would be so fucking funny if Ward, like, didn't actually know for sure that he was being followed and just, like, periodically he did that little signal no matter where he was, just in case, you know? Like, imagine you happen to get stuck walking behind him on the street for a few blocks, and every 100 feet or so you just see him, like, lifting his shirt slightly and, like, tapping his nose. I just feel like that'd be really funny.
Why does this guy keep doing that? What is that?
Is that? Does he have a tick or something? Are you okay?
What's that on his belt? That's a weird utility belt.
Does he have a pager or something?
That's a big pager.
Anyway, so Coulson tells Skye that they found Ward, as she tells him that she finally found the carving somewhere. Except it's not on a wall, it's on a woman's back. Oof. Her name was Janice Robbins from New York. Coulson said he's positive that she was a SHIELD agent.
So Skye mentions receiving information from a contact named Micro, a bit of a crime enthusiast. This is possibly a reference to the Marvel Comics character David Linus Microchip/Micro Lieberman, an ally/friend of Frank Castle, aka the Punisher.
Oh, cool.
AKA the guy that for some reason every cop has his logo in a thin blue line sticker. I'm like, have you ever read The Punisher? The Punisher fucking hates cops. If there's any comic book character that hates cops, it's the fucking Punisher. What? Fake fan.
So Coulson and Skye head up to New York to check out the crime scene. Janice had said that she was a painter, but it turns out her paintings are all the same thing that everyone else has been carving.
Oh, hers are so pretty, though.
I know.
And at least one of them is named A Magical Place.
Aww.
Callback.
That's cool. And I just was wondering, like, how come she could use paint, but everyone else had to fucking carve it? Like, that seems just so much more sustainable. Like, at some point, you will run out of things to carve, but you can always paint over more paint, you know?
Yeah, I wonder if maybe she did have, like, an artistic ability before, and it just kind of taps into whatever ability you have.
Yeah.
But was Coulson a carver?
I don't know.
I don't think he carved.
I don't think he did. Did he, like, whittle little figurines?
You know, I could actually picture that.
Me too. Just like sitting on his front porch, just like whittling. So Skye finds Janice's real identity. SHIELD agent Rebecca Stevens, level 6, stationed at the Triskelion. I put Triskeleton.
You did. I thought you did that on purpose. Stationed at this Triskeleton.
At the Triskeleton. That's what we're going to call it from now on. The Triskeleton.
Yeah, the Triskeleton.
But according to the records, she died 5 years ago from cancer. Oh, yikes. She must have been one of the Tahiti patients. Guess what, past Caroline? She was.
It's me. Hi. I'm editing Caroline. Just wanted to point out this little paradox that I've already created of current me talking to past me, who just referenced even further past me, because that was recording me talking to watching the episode me, and now I'm editing the episode. It's a whole thing. Okay, bye.
But there's no way to know until they perform an autopsy. Somehow, Mac and Fitz acquire the body. Fitz says, "Corpsey diem, seize the dead." And then, oh boy, there is some tension between Mac and Simmons, and not the good kind.
I noted both things as well.
Wait, and didn't Mac was like, you can take anything from anywhere as long as you do it with confidence, or something like that. Like, how often has he just, like, stolen a body from a morgue?
You just walk in with your little lab coat and you're like, this is mine now. Thank you for your service.
Right. Nobody was like, hey, where are you taking that?
Oh, I'm taking it to the other morgue down the street.
Right. Simmons asks if anyone would like to leave before she starts, and everyone raises their hand. And I'm so glad she asked. Like, what a kind thing. What a kind offer.
How considerate.
I know.
Also, I feel like Fitz has come a long way since season 1, where he was freaking out about the dissected cat on his desk or whatever.
Oh, yeah. So in Atlanta, Georgia, Ward gets off, I guess he wasn't getting off a plane. Was he getting off a plane?
It was a bus. He was switching buses.
I don't know why I kept thinking it was a plane. I don't know. Ward gets off a bus, and Morris and Hunter are following him super incognito. Ward charms his way into riding with a woman and her son on the next bus to Dallas. And fucking ew. Like, get him away from everyone.
It was so gross. I was like, are you really stooping to using human shields?
Right?
Like, this is low even for you, Ward.
And a child.
A child.
For real. But then he sits right next to Morris towards the back of the bus. They start with some playful banter initially, but then he turns menacing real quick, calling her out on the fact that she was on the same page in her book outside as she is in here. And I mean, like, also, it was only like 30 seconds, my guy. She could have been on the same page. Maybe she stopped reading right after you passed, and then she got on the bus.
Yeah, she put in her bookmark.
Sorry.
She heard the same announcement you did and was like, oh, that's my bus.
Gotta get on the bus. But also I keep thinking how funny it would be if he was wrong. And, like, he just kept accusing random people of working for Coulson. Like, what if she really was just a slow reader?
I am a slow reader and definitely would have been falsely accused.
She was just
I would have been like, you've been on page 117 since the last time I saw you. I'm gonna be like, my dude, I've been on page 117 for a week.
Sorry I have ADHD, asshole.
Are you making fun of my disability? What's Coulson? Is that a new slur?
But then, okay, I also noticed that, so, like, he shows Morris that he's holding, like, the bomb trigger, right? And it's in his right hand, and he has his thumb pressed down, like, as if he lets go, the bomb is gonna go off. That's what it seemed like to me. But throughout that whole scene, he picked up the kid's duffel bag, and he was very intentional about using his right hand. And then he's walking down the aisle, and he has his, like, backpack strap with his right hand. And then he uses his right hand to put the backpack in the overhead compartment, and then he takes off his jacket, and it clearly shows, like, an empty right palm. So, like, it couldn't have been a release trigger, because he would have released it multiple times. But it seems very unlike Ward to not be ready at any second. And if he had to, like, pull the trigger wire out of his sleeve and then push down on the button, that seems like it would have given a skilled agent enough time to catch him off guard. Am I nitpicking? Maybe, but it's Ward making mistakes, so I don't care.
Okay, IMDb goofs. Literally, that was one of the things that I didn't include because I was like, that's not important.
It was important to me. They could have gotten him. He's like, while he's like talking to Bobby and like holding it down, or like he's like taking his jacket off, and then Hunter comes up from behind him and just tackles him. What's he gonna do? He's gonna like pull it out? No. Anyway, so moving on. Ward gets off Morris's bus just like May intended, and he heads straight over to Hunter's bus. And Hunter is wearing a full cowboy costume, 10-gallon hat, and a denim shirt to boot. And the accent, oh my god, I hate it.
Seriously, Hunter?
That
was my only note at that point. Just, seriously, Hunter?
So Simmons has gotten the autopsy results back. Agent Stevens died a horrific death that we don't need to get into the graphic details of. But as it turns out, both Stevens and her attacker had GH325 in their blood. And the fact that Skye was like, well, I didn't do it. Babe, duh. Out of here.
So Simmons mentions hypergraphia, which was brought up as a side effect of the GH serum in season 1.
Whoa!
The foreshadowing is impeccable.
Oh,
do you remember that? Because you pointed it out. You had looked it up.
I did, and I didn't even think about it. Wow. They're smooth! So Simmons and Skye have a million questions, to which Coulson just responds, I don't know, repeatedly. Until he takes them to a seemingly secret room where he kept the memory torture machine that Raina used on him.
Wow.
Except that then Fitz and Simmons knew about it. They, repaired it and got it working again. So, did they know? I don't know if they knew about it already.
I guess they, stole it and, worked on it, but it was just, stored away.
They were like, we don't ever need to see this again. We just wanted to know that it could work if we wanted it to.
Yeah.
So Skye is very worried about Coulson trying to remember all the things that were erased from his brain when the other Tahiti patients were driven insane by the same thing. But Coulson pulls the director card and says, this is what we're doing. Mac is very confused by what's going on and is trying super hard to keep up. So they begin the process. He enters the dream in the interview room at the guest house with Agent Stevens. All 6 patients seem to be doing well and are initially ready to go back in the field. So he orders their release, but then Stevens takes his pen and starts drawing the symbols on the desk. The other patients are experiencing different odd symptoms, and the secret killer is the only one who seems to be holding it together so far. Coulson tries to shut down the project and destroy the alien host, but the doctor suggests instead that they erase the patient's memory and give them new identities. Then IRL Coulson starts, seizing, but is able to start coming up with names.
I really just can't believe we're getting to all of this already. I know it's episode 7, but I feel like this is the real meat of the season.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, we're finding this out early.
They were like, enough with the fluff episodes. Let's get into it.
Yeah. Let's get down to it.
Let's get down to business. To the meat of the season. Anyway. So Hunter watches from across the street as Ward walks into a bar called Gold Bricks Brewing. I wasn't sure if that was important, but I wrote it down just in case.
I like the way you think.
The bartender tells Ward he has a choice between a Colombian necktie or a bullet in the head. I hope he follows through. But damn, they were actual drink names.
A little much.
A little much. I'm really into killing Ward the last 2 episodes, apparently. I'm feeling very violent towards him.
I mean, as you should. As you should.
Anyway, so this must be a Hydra clubhouse or something, because who else would have such violent drink names? And, the name of it is Gold Bricks Brewing. So, that it's not even it's the theme. They just felt like having very violent drink names.
I guess so.
Anyway, so then British Hydra guy and his henchmen walk in to meet with Ward. Ward wants a meeting with Whitehall himself. He offers to get Whitehall close to Coulson in exchange.
So, in this episode, in this scene, Ward mentions Strucker and that he is currently overseas. Baron von Strucker is one of Hydra's heads and currently in possession of Loki's staff. He made his debut in the mid-credit scene in Captain America: The Winter Soldier and returned in Avengers: Age of Ultron. So he was the guy who was having Wanda and Pietro experimented on.
Oh.
With the Mind Stone.
Gotcha. So Coulson and the killer had the same reaction to the GH325 initially. They started carving and didn't want their memories erased because they, quote, need to know, it wants me to know. Coulson starts waking up, still needing to know. Skye finally gets Coulson's attention with an icer pointed at his face. Coulson calms down and agrees to May's advice about being locked up until she gets back. As Skye leads Coulson down to Ward's old cell, Coulson remembers the name Sebastian Derrick. He was previously an assassin for Dark Shield. The last Tahiti patient still alive is Hank Thompson. So then Coulson suddenly pushes Skye into the cell instead of himself and goes to take care of him personally. That was pretty funny. That was a good fake out there.
It was. I also really liked the scene where he was like in the dream sequence, his memory, and it changed from being Sebastian screaming to being Coulson screaming.
Yeah.
Like within the sequence, instead of Sebastian like being held back by the people, it was Coulson being in the same outfit being held back by the nurses.
Right. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. A good touch. So Hank and his son are in a garage or something playing with what seems like a giant train set when his wife announces that there's an old friend at the door. Yikes! Don't answer the door. So Mac and Fitz discuss the events of the day while playing video games, which apparently is basically PT for Fitz.
Yeah, Mac's advice about the video game helping Fitz's motor skills, I believe is actually true. Like, I feel like I've heard that before.
It's the hand-eye coordination, fine motor skills. Very interesting.
Interesting.
Mac says he likes his bosses to be unjumbled all the time. That's a little unrealistic. Mac, you work in a very stressful job. Somebody's going to be jumbled some of the time.
True.
Fitz assures him that Coulson will recover. He says, brains don't delete files, they just lose connections. But there's always a backup. It's just a matter of digging and finding them. Mac says that means that Fitz has a backup too. I love that, actually. What a good way of putting it.
Yeah, that was really... And I did notice that while he was playing the game, he strung that, like, very insightful sentence together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with, like, no... He didn't even stutter.
Yeah.
I don't think. Because he was focused on something else. He wasn't focused on the words coming out. Yeah. So then Simmons comes in, and they finally notice that Skye is in the cell, and Coulson is gone.
How long has Skye been waving at that camera?
Right? She's like, fucking finally!
Oh, poor Skye.
So Hank comes to the door and he sees Coulson. He tries to close the door on him, but Coulson refuses to leave. So Hank steps outside to talk to him. Coulson says that his life is in danger and then pulls a gun on him and says, I need to pick your brain. Oh, good. That's a good way to word that and do
Coulson, what the fuck?
Your life is in danger, but not from me, the person who has a gun in your face.
He's like frantic. He's like, I need the other pieces. I need them.
Hunter and Morse start bickering about subtlety in undercover operations, and Morse points out that Hunter was dressed as a literal cowboy. And she's right. Like,
Yes.
Bobby was not the problem in that situation.
No.
She was just a slow reader. That was her undercover character.
Exactly.
May interrupts them like an exhausted mother. And so they all agree, the three of them and Tripp, they all agree to just get a fast, clean shot at Ward as soon as possible. Coulson is trying to see if Hank has the missing pieces of his map, but Hank says, I told you both, you have the wrong guy. Both? So then Sebastian shows up and knocks Coulson out from behind. They do a lot of that on this show. Knocking people out from behind.
They do. They do.
I mean, it's always a good one. A good shot. I love it.
Yeah.
So May, Tripp, Morse, and Hunter all make their way into and through the bar. They find the bartender dead and British Hydra guy bound and gagged in the closet with tape over his mouth that says, for Coulson. Sebastian locks up Hank's wife and son and goes back out to talk to a bound and gagged Hank and Coulson, who is hanging from his wrists. Sebastian tells Coulson that the false memories didn't work because he found that pain made him remember.
As someone who struggled with self-harm, this episode is a lot.
Same. I tried to put lots of jokes in because it was a lot. Thank you for the trigger warning, by the way. I will make a note.
You're welcome. I'm glad I watched before you did.
Yeah. So Hank shows Coulson his tattoos during his villain monologue. He tells Coulson that the symbols aren't 2D. The answers that he's searching for are below the surface, which is why Sebastian started carving into people instead. Sebastian is about to start carving into Coulson when he hears Hank trying to break himself and his family free. Sebastian throws the knife at Hank, who catches it in his hands, and there's that shield training.
The absolute confusion on the poor guy's face when he caught the knife.
That was so good.
And then he throws it, and it cuts Coulson's rope.
Because he's amazing. I love Hank. So then Coulson's rope breaks, and he beats Sebastian with his bound wrists so that Hank and his family can run. Skye catches Mac up on the Tahiti project while they're in Mac's truck. And then Mac throws out some alien-phobic sentiment, and Skye gets very uncomfortable. Then they come across Hank and his family on the side of the road, and he tells them that Coulson and Sebastian are fighting at his welding business. So Mac tells them to stay here, we'll handle this. And like, yeah, just stay there on the side of the road, like in the woods. There was literally just nothing but trees.
I mean, it's safer than where they were.
You're right. What if Sebastian came running out? They didn't know. Anyway. I have feelings about it. So Coulson coaxes Sebastian up the stairs with the promise of pain. Coulson starts choking Sebastian as Mac and Skye come in on this very incriminating scene. And Coulson swears he's only choking him because he likes it. This is a very kinky episode, okay? Bondage, pain, choking, oh my.
Oh my.
Mac counts to 3 for Coulson to let this man go before he shoots. Coulson lets go at the very last second, and Sebastian has finally seen it. The answer. And okay, Hank, this fucking guy. Everybody else was so consumed with this shit. Rebecca was painting constantly. Coulson's destroying every carvable material in sight. And Sebastian is fucking torturing and killing people. And fucking Hank had no idea what anybody was talking about because he just like welded a train set for his kid. But it's a city, apparently.
It's a city! I do love the idea that Hank just like welded this train set city, and when he finished he was like, I feel a sense of relief for some reason. Did I have a manic episode? No.
Literally. He's like, oh, I felt good, glad I did that.
But I really have been waiting for this city reveal.
Oh yeah.
I'm so excited for the rest of the season. It's coming along quick.
I feel very confused.
Good.
So back at the bunker, Coulson is reminding Sebastian that he was one of the best super spies in the world and offers him a job. And I'm sorry, didn't this man just kill like 4 people? I know he's not going to again, but those people had lives and friends and family who will miss them. Like, really? Oh, LMAO. It's just Hank.
They are 2 white men.
They are. I got them confused again. They're both white and they have hair, so how am I supposed to know?
Oh, God. Okay.
Anyway, so Hank turns down the job. He's very happy in his new life, and he isn't willing to give it up. And that makes sense. He seems to have a very good life.
Yeah.
So then before he leaves blindfolded, Hank... Another kink. Okay. Hank gives Coulson his card and offers his welding services. I know, that was a reference to something. I'm sure of it.
I'm not sure if the welding business is a reference or anything, but in the comics, Cameron Klein, who is now Hank, is the grandson of Stanley Klein, one of Captain America's Howling Commandos.
Oh.
So yeah, he's on the same level as Trip. He just doesn't know it.
Oh. Coulson and Sebastian's carving compulsions are gone now. He says that the GH was driving them to go to this city, but without knowing what it was, they just went a little crazy. Now they just need to figure out why the alien wanted to get to this city so bad.
So, asked if Coulson will be back to normal following this episode, Clark Gregg said, he really felt like he was losing it in the first part of this episode. Since he was going around trying to figure out who was going to pull his plug, that's a real concern. I don't want to die again. I was so surprised when it got to that bit in the script at the table read. I was like, oh, am I better now? And they went, well, let's just say you aren't crazily carving anymore. And on whether he will have the same drive to find the newly revealed city, Clark said, one of the really cool sci-fi elements of this show is that whatever this is, it seems to have been around for a while, and once it gets into your system, it starts to influence your behavior. I've seen a couple of really
Screepy?
I've seen a couple of really creepy, scary nature specials lately about insects who do this, that infect another species of insect and get them to do their bidding, often in a suicidal way. There's something kind of sinister about it like that. I don't know that having solved the carving element of it or figuring out the city part of it is going to completely mean that that alien tissue is done with him. Jesus, Clark!
Whoa. Wow.
Wow, we are so much alike. That sounds like something I would say in response to a very simple question.
Yeah.
On the question, do you think that your character is going to want to get to the city the same way he wanted to carve it? I'd be like, well, I actually read about these insects that take over a dead insect's brain, and...
I want to know what kind of insects those are, because I don't ever want to come into contact with them. Not that I think that they would.
You've never seen those?
No.
Oh, it's so creepy. It really is. Like, there was a video I saw of a beetle, like a squished beetle, walking around, and it wasn't, obviously the beetle was dead. It was like this other smaller bacteria or something that infects like what's left of their brain.
Ew. And
like crawls around and like has them eat and do other things and infect other. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
I hate that. I hate that. I'm gonna have nightmares about that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It is Halloween, so I guess we have to, so it's fine.
Yeah. Blame Clark. It wasn't me.
God damn it, Clark.
God damn it,
Come
Clark.
on the pod so I can yell at you almost in person.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they don't know where Ward is yet, but they do have British Hydra guy in custody, and they have his cell phone. That feels like a very obvious trap, and I don't like that they fell for it. I know they had to, but I don't like it. Coulson goes out to address the rest of the team. He explains what's been going on with him the last few months, and he shows them the blueprint of the city, and he says that their mission, should they choose to accept, is to find it before Hydra or anyone else.
So Coulson says that he was kind of doubting himself and was chasing windmills, and that is a reference to Don Quixote, to which I said, isn't the phrase tilting at windmills?
I've never heard either phrase, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So now it's time for the post-content content! One of these days we'll find, like, a air horn fucking sound effect.
I like ours better.
Anyway, so Ward puts his records on. Play me your favorite song. Just go ahead, let your hair down. Anyway.
Oh my god, he does!
He does! I didn't even realize that when I wrote that down.
Wow!
Amazing.
Your mind.
My mind! Sorry. That was the Taylor Swift reference for this episode. Her mind!
What if I told you I'm a mastermind?
This happens all the time.
What a mind.
So Ward pulls a little douchebag move and stares at himself shirtless in the mirror. And I mean, like, I guess I liked that part, I guess.
Hey, Brett Dalton, come on the pod.
Hey! I promise we won't be weird and gross if we actually talk to him.
We'll be weird and gross about other things.
Yeah.
Non-sexual things.
Yeah.
I promise.
I will describe how graphically I hate Ward.
Oh, yeah.
It won't be weird to Brett, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so he starts shaving his beard that he's been growing out for months now, but it's literally only like a few weeks worth of growth. But I digress. And I was really hoping that he would leave it at the, like, goatee. But then he continues shaving his head, too. And I don't like that. I don't like it at all. He looks like the weird secret brother from that show, Dynasty.
My notes here were, no, Ward, keep the beard. It was the only thing you had going for you. And the hair, too. No!
Truly. That was the only thing I liked. We only liked looking at Ward, and then you ruined it.
Absolutely, yes.
That's fine. It'll be... Now we can hate him more totally.
That's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. So Skye starts hacking into British Hydra Guy's phone, hoping not to find any nudes. When all of a sudden, it starts ringing. She's shocked to hear Ward say, "Hey, Skye, I see you got my present." And I mean, I love that he tricked British Hydra Guy, but fucking my anxiety is so high. Ward vaguely threatens the new recruits and thinks very highly of himself.
How dare he threaten you?
Yeah. Me?
Yeah, because you're the new recruit. I'm the veteran and you're the new recruit.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. God damn it! Fuck you, Ward. What did I do to you? And he thinks very highly of himself when he was a really terrible spy as a SHIELD agent. He was really bad at it.
He was, yes.
He's like, guess it's hard to replace me. What? It's very easy to replace you. You didn't even work for SHIELD.
He's the worst.
So then he gets off the phone, and why Skye didn't immediately start triangulating the call, I will never know.
She was taken by surprise.
Yeah. But so he gets off the phone and he gets his gear ready, including a newspaper showing his brother on the cover. So he's going to assassinate the senator, I assume. Very interesting.
So, talking about the motivations of Ward in the episode, Clark Gregg explained, Ward seems to think that he's redeemable, and yet for every step he takes that seems to be about mending fences with either Skye or Coulson, he seems to do something that's equally psychotic. The speech that was in last week's episode, the bit between the two of them before he turned Ward over, it seems like Coulson takes the deaths of Victoria Hand and others very seriously. I don't see how Ward is going to explain that away from Coulson's point of view.
Yeah.
Then, asked if Coulson would kill Ward, Gregg stated, that question actually goes right to the heart of Coulson. Would he want to? I'm sure Coulson does, but I also feel like there's a cost to not being Hydra. To Coulson, there's a very clear line that you cross over when you indulge your more primitive, retribution-based desires. That suddenly really starts to rupture the membrane between you and what you're fighting against.
Yes, and that's why we love Coulson, and it's very frustrating. Can he just... I want Ward to just, like, accidentally press the wrong button and, like, fly a plane into the ocean or something. Just accidentally trip and fall.
Oh, here's a fun game.
Okay.
I don't believe... Okay, I'll say this. Who do you think ends up killing Ward?
Ward dies?
I can't tell you that. But if he were to...
I mean, I really
hope...
Who
do you think would be the one to do it?
I really hope that it's Simmons. I feel like of all the people who would be, like, capable of it, I feel like she'd be the most capable. And the most, like, both equally surprising and most capable of it.
Yeah. Good answer.
Okay.
So,
anyway.
Overall thoughts on this episode.
This was truly the horniest episode they've ever had. And Sky has literally almost had sex on screen before, but this was hornier.
Oh.
And I hate Ward's haircut. That's all. What were yours?
So my last little fun fact was the aerial shot used for the town in upstate New York is the same aerial shot that is used for Rosewood on Pretty Little Liars.
Oh. Mm-hmm. See them recycling?
Recycle. All right. Well, that concludes our episode on Season 2, Episode 7, The Writing on the Wall.
Woohoo!
If you want to keep up with us, you can follow us on TikTok at Agents of Nothing Podcast, on Twitter at Agent Nothing Pod, and on Instagram at Agents of Nothing Podcast. You can go to anchor.fm/Agents of Nothing and subscribe to us for $2.99 a month for special bonus content. And you can email us at agentsofnothingpodcast@gmail.com, and we may just read it on the show. If you want to find me, Mariah, I'm on Twitter at FullSwampWitch_, on TikTok at Submarine Warfare, and on Instagram at Submarine Warfare.
And you can follow me, Caroline, on Twitter at RustyPage95, on Instagram at _RustyPage, or on TikTok at CrazyGinger995.
Next week, we'll be covering Season 2, Episode 8, The Things We Bury, so stay tuned for that.
Okay, bye!
Bye! Love you!